What is up, human beings? Thank you for tuning in. We are live here for our first ever official episode of Spirit Guides. It's Thirsty Thursdays. There's no time like quarantine is what we have been saying around here, and we're taking advantage of that, and we're going to bring you some great content over the next several weeks where we're going to dissect some cocktail recipes that you can make yourself at home. So we know these are very troubling times, so we are taking all the necessary precautions. We've got our gloves on, we've got our sanitizer spray, and we recommend that everybody is sanitizing their hands or at least washing your hands regularly, especially when you're handling produce and stuff from the outside world. Also, you'll notice I'm alone up here, but Jeremy is here in the back, and we're going to switch
Hello!
We are keeping a 6-foot breadth between us. Just to be safe, we suggest you guys all do the same. So just before we get started, let's break down some of the ingredients that you're going to need to make the cocktails. We posted it before, but just as a recap, make sure that you have the following. You're going to need some whiskey and some white rum, some Angostura bitters, or if you have some other kind of bitters, you can try a different test. You need 1 cup of sugar, 1 whole lemon, 2 whole limes, and it's optional, but if you got an egg, I'm going to get it out of the fridge right now. Use an egg. And you're definitely going to need ice. The best quality ice that you can get, even if you're getting it out of your home fridge, freezer, it's probably fine. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Oh yes, we got to talk about bar tools. Sorry, I'm having a brain disease here. We're going to talk about bar tools, and you may not have the equipment that we're going to use, but you can easily substitute a lot of these things for things you may have lying around in your own home. So if you don't have a bar kit, we are offering a professional bar kit for sale on our Squarespace site. If you just click a link below that says shop, that'll take you there, and you can get a small bar kit with all the really good quality equipment that we use. And we'll send that to you hopefully within the next week, especially if you are local to LA. Another thing that we want to announce is that starting next week, for local LA residents, we are actually going to have a delivery service to bring you all the ingredients that you need to make 2 cocktails per week. So starting next week, you can purchase a kit on the site below, and we will actually deliver it to you so you can follow along with the show every Thursday. So definitely check that out. I'm going to go over some things that you could use as a substitution if you don't have regular bar equipment. We're not doing any stirred drinks today. If you don't have a mixing glass and a spoon, you can just use a chopstick. You can stir it around with the ice just like that, or a knife, a simple butter knife, also works just fine for doing stirred drinks. So keep that in mind. We're going to get to that another time. For doing shaken drinks, if you don't have a shaker, you may have a mason jar with a lid. This works really well for doing a shake. I've used it many times. Or maybe your girlfriend has a water bottle or something like that that you can commandeer. One that screws on nice and tight. This one's actually really great because the top pops off. And so that's going to help us with the straining element, because this is a nice small space for the liquid to come out of. So that works really great as a kit too. Simple water bottle. For measuring, if you don't have a jigger, something like this is what we use to measure small amounts, because making cocktails, it's actually very precise. So if you don't have a jigger like that, you can use the following. For any measurements that are 2 ounces or greater, which are most of your spirits probably, you can use a Pyrex like this. 2 ounces is like 1/4 of a cup, so that's down there. Also, a tablespoon. A tablespoon is actually, fun fact, 1/2 of 1 ounce. So you can use this as a 1/2 ounce. We're definitely going to use that later. So if you don't have a jigger, you can just get a tablespoon. So this is how you can make some precise measurements using common kitchen equipment. The hardest thing is going to be the straining process. Now, I know a lot of people don't have a nice fine strainer like this, or a Hawthorne strainer like this. However, if you got something big like this could work in your kitchen, a big sort of sieve, also some cheesecloth. But very simply, if you don't have either of those, you could use a slotted spoon or spatula. You put that up to the tin as you're doing it and just kind of pour it out. The point of straining is to hold back the ice cubes and all the particulates that are getting broken up there when you shake it. So that's a little bit about the ingredients that you're going to need, the stuff you're going to use to make these drinks tonight. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the theme of the evening. The theme of the evening is keep it simple. Now, when we're all going through this really, really hard time, I think it's important to remember that we got to get back to basics. I think people are feeling this all over the country. It's a time of being sedentary, of kind of remembering what's important to us, getting back to the things that are really simple, that really, really matter. And so we are going to get back to the basics of cocktails. Tonight we're doing two very, very easy, simple cocktails that are really the building blocks for all mixology in general. So moving forward, this information is going to be great if you continue to hang out with us building new cocktails. So we're going to start off by making a very, very simple ingredient. And that simple ingredient is called simple syrup. And to help us make that, I'm going to hand it off to my partner, a guy who really appreciates the simple things. It's Jeremy. Come on in. Get out of here. Oh, God.
We don't bring anything. Hi. Thanks for joining us tonight. Super appreciative that you're all here and following along. And let's get started because I know most people here want to drink. So to make simple syrup, you only need a few things. The first is something to stir with. The second is a nice little saucepan. The final thing is a source of heat. Hopefully you all have a stove at home, either gas or electric. For us here, we're going to use actually a camping burner because that's the way to go. So starting with the sugar, you'll need a cup, a full cup. Full cup sugar. Next is a cup of water. We prefer using spring water, but any old regular tap water will do. And then finally we turn the heat on. And this is just one method of making simple syrup. It's the easiest for at home. However, for large events, which we do large events, we like to use my favorite tool, which is an immersion blender, which looks something like this. So if you ever need to make 5, 10, 20, 30 gallons of simple syrup, that's a much better way of going about it than the old heat and water approach. So while this is heating, I'm also going to show you one other approach to making sugar, which is my actual first favorite because it means I get to make Al do a lot of work.
Oh,
so I call this the shake the shit out of it method, and it requires, again, a cup of sugar, which I was silly and didn't use my liquid measure, so now I can't use my dry measure. So I'm going to start with a cup of sugar here. And I'm going to funnel it into a bottle, sealed container of some kind. And because I didn't learn my lesson the first time, I'm going to do another full cup of water. And pass it off to my dear friend Al. Make sure that you're tending to your sugar if you're making it at home, We're not trying to make caramel here. We're just trying to make simple syrup.
Shaking the shit out of it. Oh yeah.
Hopefully this is getting close to dissolve, but while we're dissolving it, let's talk about the next ingredient, which is lime juice. An interesting fact about making cocktails is you should build them from the bottom up. Usually most recipes are like you start from the top and you work your way down, but the way cocktail recipes are designed is they put the most expensive ingredient first. And if you screw up the build, you've just wasted your most expensive ingredient. So when you start from the bottom, you're actually saving yourself some time, and you're cleaning out your measuring tools as you're using them. So with that in mind, let's get working with the next ingredient.
Your simple syrup's probably done by now.
Yeah, and the simple's probably done by now, so make sure that that's good. Turn that off. Maybe add an ice cube or two to it. And we're going to move on to lime juice. So to do that, you're going to need a small citrus press, which isn't totally necessary because you can also do it by hand. If you have a cutting board, that's helpful, as well as a knife. And of course, most importantly, you're going to need the limes. So there's a couple of thoughts about doing it. You can do it straight into the jigger. And a lime is usually about an ounce of juice if they're juicy. We're going to find out right now what this one is. And this is looking like it's about a 1/4 ounce of juice. So I'm going to hand squeeze this one to get the rest of the juice that I need. Great. So we've got lime juice. You said the simple's done.
Oh yeah. Here, you can use my shaken bottle method.
Great. I've got some simple syrup here.
And if you don't have that, I guess you should pour it into the Pyrex, right?
Yeah, I would pour your syrup from the pot into the Pyrex, which we can demonstrate that.
It's pretty hot, so if it's a little hot, you might want to wait a little while.
Yeah, or just add a couple ice cubes to it, and that'll help cool it down. One of the things that happens if you shake a drink with hot ingredients is you're going to increase the dilution, so you're gonna need a watered down cocktail. So
There we go.
all right. So I'm just actually going to do that right now and add a couple ice cubes to this. Just 2 will do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Give it a little stir.
Simple syrup. I'm the heckler.
Heckle me, heckle me, heckle me. Thanks, Al. So we'll wait for that for a second. Usually I'd build with the simple syrup first, but as we're letting this cool down, we can go ahead and move on to making the drink. So you're going to need your shaking utensils, jigger if you have it, and let's start with the lime juice.
Half an ounce.
Yeah, 1/2 ounce of lime juice or 1 tablespoon. We're going to do another 1/2 ounce or 1 tablespoon of the simple syrup. And then we're going to finish it off with 2 ounces of rum. So there's a little bit of contention or debate about the best way to build a daiquiri. If you like your drinks to be sweeter, you can up the simple syrup by another 1/4 ounce. There are other people who like them a little more sour, and so they do a full ounce of lime. And a 1/2 ounce, again, or that tablespoon of syrup, and then always 2 ounces of rum because we like our drinks boozy. So as some people call this, it's the trifecta of ingredients. So the next thing is the ice. And we've got ice in there. And shake, 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 until your tins or your shaker is totally frosted over. And then, again, if you don't have a Hawthorne strainer, you can use a slotted spoon, but we like to use this because it helps keep out a lot of the little chunks of ice. So that's the second tool, is the fine strainer. So we pour into the glass which is perfectly built for daiquiris. And the most important part is the garnish. So we like to do a little lime wheel. So just a little slice, and then one more little slice. Cheers, everybody.
That looks beautiful, man.
Thank you.
I love it.
Amazing. So now, to tell you a little bit about the history of daiquiris, Al's going to come on stage and keep his comfortable 6 feet distance.
I want to see you taste that, man,
Oh.
to make sure it's not poison. Is it good?
Yeah, it's very good.
Jeremy usually does the three-quarter method, but I persuaded him to build it a little bit differently. Is anyone building that at home? Please comment and let us know how it tastes to you. See, a lot of people think a daiquiri is this crazy strawberry frozen thing that you get down in Cancun, but the original daiquiri was built somewhere around 1890s in the town of Daiquiri in Cuba. It's a fascinating story that you can read all about in this book, Unpaid Advertisement, Jeff Berry's Potions of the Caribbean. This book changed my life, and that is not a joke. But he outlines a lot of amazing things about tropical cocktails, so if you're interested in tiki, definitely got to read Jeff Berry's Potions of the Caribbean. And also stay tuned, because we're definitely going to have some tiki stuff coming up here. But that's what he calls the holy trinity of rum, lime, and sugar. This is the building blocks of all tropical cocktails, and it's really the building blocks of most cocktails that you get. A cocktail has 4 basic ingredients, which can be summarized in a small slant rhyme: 4 of strong, 3 of sweet, 2 of sour, and 1 of weak. I know it doesn't actually rhyme. But the weak part being the dilution. So we're adding ice, we're shaking it, da 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 da. So mostly spirit, less than spirit we have the sweet element, and less than the sweet element we have the sour element. So that's an easy way, a little method that you can take with you to build drinks on your own at home. Now, I want to introduce a new idea. This is a pitch, and this is for you who want to tune in and get to know more about home bar experiences. We are going to add a segment next week, and hopefully for many weeks to follow, on this program called Spirit Guide's Home Bar Rescue. We're going to do a live feed, tap into your phone, and look through what you've got in your liquor cabinet and what you've got lying around during quarantine that you could possibly be using to make a delicious cocktail and not even know it. So if you want to participate in our Home Bar Rescue program, definitely hit us up on any medium. You can send us a message down below, send us an email, just put your email address or way to contact you in the feed. You can also find us on Instagram, slip into our DMs. I can't even say that. That's embarrassing. So we are going to see what's in your liquor cabinet, some things that you might want to get rid of, some things that you can keep, and that you might not know that you're sitting on gold, people. So Home Bar Rescue, if you're interested, please let us know, and we're going to do that segment starting next week. How are those cocktails? Are they tasting pretty good? We forgot to mention that if you're making it for 2, you should just double every ingredient. Sorry, should have mentioned that beforehand. I know some of you are quarantined with a lover or a friend or a roommate, or you've taken in
A cousin.
a homeless cousin. So if you are with another person, you can always double these recipes, and that works really well when you're using the measuring cup too. So we know that sugar gets a lot of flack sometimes, and some people don't like to use sugar. So I just want to quickly plug allulose, and no, it's not named after me. But this is a sweetening agent that you can get at Costco, and this is made all natural, 0-calorie liquid sweetener from figs and kiwi, raisins, all sorts of other stuff. So this is like a really, really good sugar substitute. We're getting back to the basics. We're making simple syrup today, but in the future you want to use something that's a little more low calorie, that's a little less frightening. then you can definitely check out allulose. What do you say? Any comments there? Anyone tuning in?
I think you should make a daiquiri with sugar out.
All right. Well, so we'll take a little history lesson. We're gonna go way, way back to the original daiquiri from Cuba. Oh, you should throw me those tins again.
Yes.
I don't want to use your tins. Oh, you know what? I can just do it in this. I'll do it in this. No problem. No problem. We're improvising. Thank you, mate. So the original way of doing this was you wouldn't even make simple syrup. You just dissolve the sugar right into the lime juice. So we're going to measure out the same amount, about a ½ ounce of fresh lime. This was actually created by a guy down in Cuba named Jennings Cox, and he was Rockefeller's man down in Cuba during Spanish-American War, and he was hanging out, hosting some guests over, and he had run out of gin, and so he used what the locals had down there that they would use, which was rum, because that was like, rum is super easy to make. That was what poor people drank. Real upstanding Anglo-Saxons drank gin, but there was no gin to be had. So he substituted rum for his usual combination of lime and sugar. Both things that were very, very foreign to Europeans when they started colonizing the New World. And this basically took off like gangbusters. It was such a hit, everyone started requesting it and said, what should we call this thing? And so they named it Daiquiri after the town where it was created. So we're just going to do a little teaspoon of white sugar. This is what the original recipe calls for. He was making this in gallons, by the way, but I digress. So now we're just dissolving the lime right into the sugar, and because the sugar is super fine, it's dissolving pretty quickly. The process of actually making a syrup using juice, like lime juice, instead of water, like what we just did, this is called making a cordial. So this is kind of like an on-the-fly lime cordial, which we will talk about in a future episode. That's pretty good. Now, a word about white rum. I know some of you at home may be using Bacardi Superior, and I hate to tell you, you're not superior for using that. But I understand it's tough times.
Wow.
Use what you got to. Bacardi's a great company. We'd love for them to sponsor us. We just don't recommend that for a daiquiri, because you have to use something that's got some body to it. White rum comes in a lot of shades, from like really excellent to like really terrible. So Plantation 3-Star, this is a great make, great company. They're out of Panama, but they source rums from all over and they combine it to make something really fabulous. So this is like a $14 cocktail here in LA anymore. So if you just made that at home, you just saved yourself about $10, and that's pretty good. Let's see if we can just use that to shake. And again, the key is, like Jeremy was saying, you want this to be super cold. Oh, I'm peeking the monitor, man! Rum, lime, and sugar. I mean, there is nothing better than that. There's just not. If my friend Chuck Armstrong is watching, hey Chuck, this one's for you, buddy. I once told the story about a daiquiri to a man named Chuck Armstrong, who has now moved to New York City, and he's changed his whole life. And now he makes proper daiquiris on the regular, and he's currently writing a cocktail book, part recipe, part commentary. So, Chuck, I hope you write the book, and I hope we can make people buy it right here on the program. This is really fun, guys. We're like making a TV show. So there we go. Daiquiri numero duo. Now this one's going to be for me. I mean, it's not as sweet. Definitely not as sweet as the other one. But that combination, there's something about it, you know? It's the sweetness, it's the tartness, it's the nice canvas of white rum that's just elevating all those ingredients. This is a menage a trois of cocktail making. So, thank you for indulging me in that. Any comments, any questions about mixology in general? Are you guys having fun? Please let us know. We're very, very interested. And once again, we are going to be kind of stepping this up over the weeks. This is all about keeping it simple, but as we move forward, the ingredients are going to get a little bit more complicated. So if you have any questions, please ask them now. And if you want to take a moment to check out our shop down below to get your weekly bar kit for next week, at the end of the show, we're going to have a little sneak preview of what's coming next week. So very exciting stuff. What do you say?
Al, tell me about Graham would like to know, Graham the producer.
Graham the producer.
Would like to know.
One of my favorite producers.
What makes a cordial?
A cordial, yeah. So I was saying that a cordial is basically like making a simple syrup, except instead of water, you're going to use a juice of some kind. Cordial means many things. It's kind of a weird term that gets tossed around to mean a lot of different things. In the sense of like a fruit cordial, all it means is that we're making a syrup. So we're adding sugar to a liquid, but instead of the liquid being water, the liquid is lime juice. Or next week, we're going to do blackberry and honey. So that's a blackberry honey cordial. So we're using the juice of the fruits in place of water to make the ingredient. Does that make sense? So that's when we say cordial, that's kind of what we're talking about. But oftentimes the term cordial can mean like a sweetened fruit liqueur. We don't typically use those terms, but you know, some people do. What can you do? What can you do?
Catherine will request that you sing briefly.
I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. Except this drink. So tell me, why should it be true, oh baby, that I get a belt out of you? Oh, mercy. Was that as good for her as it was for me?
People seem like they appreciate your voice. I like that.
Well, that's cool.
Let's see. Is there any other?
Not too shabby.
We have Brendan.
We're going to use this simple syrup again, so please definitely hold on to it.
Yes, Doctrine Music, y'all deliver. We do deliver.
Yeah, we're going to be delivering as far as we can. So the mixer kits, if you're interested in buying them and you're local to LA, also the gear stuff, if you're interested and you're local to LA, we will definitely get them to you until they ban driving. We're going to figure it out. If you live in another state and you're tuning in and you want to participate, we probably can't send you the kits, but we definitely can send you a gear kit, and we can also send you some of the other ingredients that we have listed on our site. We're going to be selling all of our individual makes of ingredients in weeks to come of things that you can build forward. Also, I should say this is a total operation that we're doing out of the goodness of our hearts at this moment, because events are banned and we're an events company. So if you want to just throw us some money, we have a donate button down there somewhere, and you can just send us a little tuppence, something for the effort.
Tuppence. Let's see. Let us have fun. I would love to learn some ways to make cheaper alcohol alternatives better for those of us who are on a budget. Maybe some kind of punch or soak or something. I'll speak to that for a second.
Okay.
Do you want to keep your social distance from me?
Oh yeah, I'll keep my social distance.
So that's
oh wait.
Nah.
Gotta cleanse the space.
I'll take a spritz too. Actually, spritz.
Oh yes.
So that's one of the original reasons that cocktails existed, was to make shitty tasting alcohol taste better. So a lot of all the builds that we're doing, if you're using cheaper spirits, they're gonna taste good. We just like to use better spirits when we can. So that's the point of it, is to make really, really unpleasant, like foul, brackish tasting alcohol that someone made in their bathtub palatable, because everybody was just trying to get drunk. So any cocktail that we're making, if you're using bottom shelf vodka for the spirit, it's fine. Again, all these flavors, almost all the spirits are interchangeable. So if we did whiskey, lime, and simple, it's still going to be a tasty drink. It's going to be much better than a lot of the swill that people are drinking these days. So that's all. That's my 2 cents.
I'm going to put up the daiquiri recipe again because we have a little request for that.
Great.
So this is the recipe, once again, for you to take a look. If you're late to the party and you want to break it down one more time, 2 ounces of white rum, 1/2 ounce or 1 tea of fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce simple syrup, and that's it. This is keeping it simple, guys. This is like a really, really exceptional cocktail. So,
Someone said we're sharing glasses. I just want to make sure that
oh no, I told her we're not.
Okay.
Asha, getting up in my grill. We did share glasses last week, so she has been paying attention. All right, what do you say? Shall we build the next cocktail? How are you guys feeling about the daiquiri?
Great. Let's build another cocktail. Well, here we go.
So we're going to move on. Thanks for participating, guys. We really appreciate it, and we hope you'll tune in next week. We're going to get a little bit weird. This is an optional part of the program. If you are rationing, or you just find the idea of putting any poultry product into something you drink to be disgusting, you can skip this step. We're going to talk a little bit about egg whites in drinks. This is a very, very taboo subject for a lot of people because they think they're going to get sick from this. It's like the myth of like salmonella. But definitely in times of COVID, we understand if you're a little bit concerned, health conscious, what have you. But egg whites, these are totally pasteurized. Everything's fine. You're not going to die. And also, alcohol is probably going to help to kill any bacteria.
And a side note, what you do want to be careful of is making sure that as you're pouring the egg white out, that it's not coming into contact with the shell. That's where the contamination's really, really coming from.
There you go. So we have sterilized these eggs, and we're going to show you now how to make a whiskey sour with an egg white. So you don't have to do the egg white part. If you don't want to do it, just hang out. But if you want to do it, here's how you do it. We're going to crack around the tin, like so. And you just want to kind of make 2 cups. And you're going to let the white part pour out, just like that. And then you can kind of pass the yolk back and forth between the parts. There you go. Easy as that. So we've got the yolk here now. You could compost this, you could chuck it out, but I know that we got a lot of people out there who are conserving, and we appreciate that. There's plenty of other things that you can do with an egg yolk.
Speaking of that, my favorite thing is making hollandaise.
Oh!
So if you have the hangovers tomorrow,
make some eggs Benedict.
Make some eggs Benedict with the egg yolks that are left over. All it takes is some butter, a little lemon juice. Some people like to add a little tarragon, some salt, and more eggs, I guess, and an English muffin, and a toaster. But the hollandaise itself is a delicious sauce that goes with just about anything, including steaks and asparagus. So save your eggs. Make something good with it. You got nothing better to do. So I've got this egg white. Ow, where's my sanitizer? I'm feeling...
Oh, here's some.
Oh, great. Give me a little...
We are wearing gloves.
Yeah. Let's talk about making a whiskey sour. We have the egg white. There's a few other ingredients we need, and again, it's from the bottom up. So we started with the egg white. Now we need simple syrup. Oh man, What are we gonna do?
Use allulose.
Oh yeah. Hopefully you have some simple syrup left over from the last batch.
You really should, or else you did something very wrong.
Very, very wrong. So the next thing is you're gonna need some lemon juice. So let's juice some lemons using my favorite tool in the whole world, a commercial citrus press. So that's this guy here. Again, you can use your hands, or most citrus, like the small hand presses, work too. If you have a fine strainer, a mesh strainer like this, again, use that. You get to basically sift out a lot of the pulp and a lot of the seeds, and that makes for a better texture on your cocktail. So, oh, fancy that, a lemon. So, le juice one, and le juice two. Give it a little squeeze, make sure you get all the juice out. Again, not wanting to be wasteful. So, got my lemon juice, got my simple syrup, and I got my whiskey. Let's get to building. Here's the simple syrup here, and this is a 3/4 or a tablespoon and a half of syrup. And one of the reasons I like to start with syrup is that it's the stickiest thing, so that when I move on to the citrus, I'm actually rinsing out my measuring device and getting all of the sticky stuff out. 3/4 of my lemon, and most importantly, the whiskey. And again, you can use cheap ingredients and they're gonna taste okay, because that's the, oh wait, I can, this, there we go. So 2 ounces of whiskey. And now we're going to talk about, if you're doing an egg white build, there's a thing called dry shaking. And what that means is that you're going to whip up the shake before using ice. And that's going to get this beautiful frothy texture. So now I'm going to do what's called a dry shake. And then one of the things that's important if you're doing this is it tends to build up pressure. So make sure you hold your tins together, otherwise you're gonna blow your drink everywhere.
So why do we do a dry shake, Jeremy?
It's gonna make it frothy and beautiful.
There's something, the term emulsion comes to mind.
Oh, I guess that is, tell me about an emulsion, Al.
Oh, emulsion, well, it's the stuff on the back
You hardly
of
knew
a
him?
picture frame. McDonald!
It's a way of incorporating
I thought I turned
ingredients
my
together
radio.
in a way that's beautiful. So after you finish your dry shake, it's time to make it cold. In this drink, you don't need to shake quite as long as the daiquiri, because it doesn't need to be quite that like frigid, frosty temperature. It kind of gets bruised, and you want this delicate, beautiful egg white texture going on. So now we strain. And then the final ingredient for this, well, I guess it's two. If you have a lemon twist, I like to do a little twist of lemon. And so you can use your spent peels and basically just drag your peel over. That doesn't work. Never mind. Should have twisted it before. So for this case, we're just going to use bitters.
Do you want a separate lemon?
Do you have one for me?
Yeah,
That'd be
I do.
great. So,
Don't
so one of the
twist
things about
after
egg white is that
squeezing,
it does
folks.
not smell very good.
Oh.
So we want to mask that smell, and there's two ways of doing that. The first is with lemon. And so you just get a nice twist right over it. And then you express it. So there's a bunch of oils that are in the peel. And so I just like to get them all out because it's just a beautiful aroma, beautiful flavor. And then the other thing, if you do have bitters, is to use some drops of bitters. We're using Jerry Thomas decanter bitters, but it's very similar to
By
Angostura.
Dashfire.
So you just do a couple drops on top, couple drops on top, couple drops on top.
Ooh, nice.
And then my favorite thing to do is to make hearts. So if you have a toothpick or something along those lines, you can just draw a little line and make a semblance of hearts on the drink. I don't know if that's going to show up in this lighting.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
there we
yeah,
go.
you're right.
Yeah, all right. But
That looks better there.
yeah, so that's the traditional whiskey sour with egg white. Beautiful, silky, frothy texture. Cheers.
Kampai. It doesn't look as frothy as I was expecting, but it's a little bit of froth. Got some in your stash.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Is it good?
Well, maybe we should try the different version of doing it, because there's another way of making it,
Oh my god.
which Al's gonna love to tell you about.
I mean, I might. Is he gone? Oh, all the sanitizer is making me hungry. I don't know. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is really fun. I don't think these are the best eggs, which might be part of the problem, but it really should have a nice, like, kind of frothy top to it. So let's do a little test and see if we can't get it looking a little bit better than what that was. But how did it taste? Did it taste all right? Did you guys make it at home? Any comments, thoughts? Spencer Bastion's in the house, and he is making 4 at a time, apparently, so message Spencer if you want some extra cocktails delivered to your door. Yeah, we'll do another little try here. So once again, this egg build is just passing the yolk. Oh! Oh, it broke. It broke! Get it out. Whew. In the nick of time. Oh, no, there is some yolk in there. Well, it's going to be extra protein. What can we say? What can we say?
Are you flipping out now?
I'm kind of flipping out. So a flip in cocktail lingo is when you put a whole egg into the drink. That was a whole classification of drinks. Did you know that cocktails was a very specific style of alcoholic beverage? For some reason, it was just the name that won out. But back in the day, there were many different classifications of drinks. There were flips, there were fizzes, there were slings, there were I don't know, other things. Oh! So here we go. We've got our lemon U. A little bit more would be good. Lemon U. I'm doing the hand squeeze method because I know you love that hand squeeze. And we've got our simple 3/4 and 3/4. And then a healthy 2-ounce pour of our bourbon.
Oh, Catherine just, I think she might relate to the feed. She was just like, next week, make a cocktail with pantry ingredients.
Pantry ingredients.
So, let's revisit that for her real quick.
Oh, yeah. So now, going to shake with the ice first, and then strain from one tin into the other. Hoo-ha. Look at that. Discard my pile of ice. And now, dry shake. After the fact. I've never done this before. This is heresy to me, but a lot of bartenders love it. So, in terms of pantry ingredients, if you're interested in making some cocktails with ingredients that you might have in your house, we're going to start doing a segment called Spirit Guide's Home Bar Rescue, where we get you on this live stream, break up the monotony, because you're sick of looking at us, I'm sure, and we can go into your home and show you how to make a cocktail with things that you have in your pantry, live on camera. So if you're interested in that, send us a message. Say, yes, I'm down for the home bar rescue, and we'll arrange a meeting with you. We'll do a little hangout beforehand. We'll get you on this live feed, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. That was my sales pitch voice.
Yeah. Let's stop that. So, Arm
There
Charles,
we go.
The reason to do dry shake second versus first, there's not really a reason. There's just some people who like to do it one way or the other. Personally, I like to do just a couple of ice cubes and shake the whole thing through dilution. So the whole point is, again, it's how you're building your emulsion. Al, you were
Sure.
going to say it.
Well, I think I may be coming around on this, but I think that the reason that you would do the dry shake second is because when you're adding ice, you're changing the temperature of the tins, and so the tins are cinching together a little bit better. So instead of having that issue that Jeremy had earlier, where the thing kind of popped off, because basically that's because of the pressure that's building up. So when there's a chill factor going on, the tins are clinging to each other. It's so romantic. So I think that is actually a plus in the column for doing it the way that I just did it. It looks roughly like the same cocktail. But yeah, the egg white isn't really... The egg white just, I feel like in this method, it's just not quite as frothy. It feels like it's gotten too diluted. But hey, this is why we teach. We teach so that we can learn. And we're all teachers and we're all students in our own right. Well, that was all the material we had planned for you guys. Does anybody else have any burning questions that we can answer? I feel so strange being up here all by my lonesome. I miss you, Jeremy. He's only 6 feet away, but it feels so far.
It feels so far.
Let me taste this. But it's looking pretty good. Oh yeah. Well, I hope you followed along at home. I hope you had a really, really good time. Made this drink for yourself. These are really, really easy steps. And that build right there, it can actually be applied to pretty much anything. The idea of a sour just means equal parts sugar syrup and lemon juice, really. So you can substitute tequila, you can substitute gin, you can substitute rum, you can substitute whatever you want. Make your own exciting sour. So these are the building blocks. This is how you keep it simple when you're making cocktails. And so next week and weeks to come, we're going to be elevating this concept and showing you how to do a little more advanced technique, but still stuff that you can do at home. So if you're interested in participating next week and you live locally in LA and you want to just avoid shopping for yourselves, you can order our weekly cocktail kit on delivery down at the link below, or we have the ingredient list right here. So time for the big reveal.
Wait, pause.
Oh, I'm
pause
sorry.
On the reveal. I want to address a question.
We have a question.
Jennings of
Oh, there it
Brendan
is.
asked, which is why Dre shake at all? You want to do a shake without ice because you'll have too much dilution if you were to shake the entire time with ice. So to create that beautiful foamy emulsion effect, you need to shake way longer than you could with ice without making a drink that tastes more like water than a whiskey sour.
That's a great point.
So, I hope that answers that. Okay, so now, back to the big reveal!
It's the big reveal! Next week, we've got a very, very fun theme that I'm super, super excited about, and I spent all day making this flyer. We are rocking out, and we've got the Spirit Guides Classic Rock Mix. Cocktails inspired by classic rock songs that you are going to make at home. That looks pretty good, I think. So tune in next week, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to leave this up here for a minute. So if you want to get the ingredients, you already have a few of these things. You're going to need some more lemons, you're going to need whiskey, you're going to need bitters. Additional things that are fun is honey, fresh blackberries, fresh mint, and optional, some activated charcoal. So if you guys want to write that down, but definitely tune in. And if you want to get the kit, we are going to prepare all of these things for you and send it your way. So thanks so much for tuning in. Gonna leave this up here for just another little bit.
And I'm gonna step in and say we'll be around behind the scenes for a little bit. Any questions you want to ask, we'll answer on the chat. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, and get ready for some black water.